Well, I'm just here at camp and got a couple of reporters here. They do some reporting for different magazines and this and that, and we're just doing some photography. You just want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jeff Pugh, just a Kootenai writer and photographer. And Carrie, can
yeah, I'm Carrie Medig, and I'm a photographer from Nelson, BC. And yeah, we just heard about Greg's story, saw some of his videos, and we're just like, oh, we got to do a story for something. And it's funny because I was telling my wife this morning, as we were driving from Nelson last night, I guess. I'm like, I'm driving over the mountains because I like the look of this guy's face. So
I love it.
so that's why we're here.
Well, I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah, no, that's a positive thing. Yes.
And
Okay.
I've been a Greg Ovens junkie, just watching everything I can on YouTube and TikTok, and just I'm just charmed by his personality and his comfort in the bush, and it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jeff. Well, this is how I live, guys. I do.
Yeah.
You might have a convert here. Maybe I should start living like this. Looks a lot simpler than my life right
Well,
now.
it's not as simple as what you might think.
Oh yeah.
It can be tough. It can definitely be tough. I mean, I'm not getting any younger, for one thing.
And at minus 35, you couldn't last too many nights of it, could you?
You're not going to last long in 35 below if you don't, unless you got a fire.
Yeah.
If you don't have a fire, you're not going to make it long.
Yeah. How does Finn like the lifestyle out here?
Well, Finn loves the bush.
Yeah.
He just lives for the bush. But when I take a motel or a hotel because it's too cold for him or I, he gets bored.
Yeah.
He gets bored. He just can't wait to get back to camp.
Yeah.
He's just that way.
And I love how he gets a steak when you get a steak.
If I cook a steak, he gets a steak.
I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
And Finn's got quite a few.
He pulls his own weight. He's got his own coffee cups and T-shirts. So I think he deserves a steak too.
Yeah. He's got quite a few fans on YouTube.
He's got a lot of fans.
Yeah.
Tell you a little story. I went to the pet store to get him some toys the one time.
Yeah.
A woman recognized me from the channel. She didn't want a picture of me. She wanted a picture of Finn.
Oh,
Is Finn in the truck?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Okay, well, morning. Out of the way, Finn's. Gotta talk to the camera. Out of the way, out of the way. So anyway, go get your bowl. Go get your bowl. Send him off for a minute here. Oh, I had a couple of weird dreams. Dreams are weird. It's just strange. I dreamt that I was back drywalling a house for a couple. Yeah. But I got the job done before I woke up, so that's good. I don't want to let anybody down, even if it is just a character in a dream. Yeah, dreams are cool. Sometimes you dream and you remember vividly the dreams, and some don't seem to make any sense whatsoever to me. But this one made sense, and I stuck around in the dream long enough to get their job done. But I'm going to go pick up a friend of mine from town. We're going to do a fireside chat because he was on this adventure, and this is a pretty interesting story too. Now I'll be covered in charcoal. Okay, so get that built up and go get my buddy and get on with the story. This is my buddy Jamie, and basically what this adventure was about, I had been doing this for years. I look on the map books and I find, and I'll show you where this lake is that we attempted to get to this particular time.
Apparently this lake exists.
it did exist, but we never made it to the spot, as you'll see throughout the story. But I was quite well known for just finding these little lakes on the maps and then discovering them. One example is that lake I took Zach Fowler to, and we ended up getting stranded, had no gear for the night. That's how I found that lake as well. But in this particular situation, we headed out to this lake I wanted to go look for, had to follow this creek, and we got way back into the valley area, and it got steeper and steeper. Now, we made a mistake, something you shouldn't do. I was carrying my shotgun, my dog Shiva, you remember her quite well.
Yeah, I had the fishing rod and a half sack.
Right, you carrying the fishing gear. And basically, Jamie decided to take what he thought was an easier route. As it turns out, it was. And I ended up going up this steep rock face that was kind of shale, and it had rained a little bit throughout the time, and the rocks were getting slippery. I got up about 300 feet above the creek, and as I'm climbing, everything's sliding out. The rocks are falling out of the bank.
Oh, yeah.
Everything I'm grabbing onto is pulling out of the mountainside. And as it turns out, I got to this one ledge, which was about 2 feet wide, 4 feet long, and I'm sitting there now in the rain thinking, man, I don't want to go down and I don't want to go up. I'm just not really sure what to do. I sat there for about an hour and a half trying to figure out a plan to get off this ledge. And by now I have no idea where Jamie went.
No, we separated. That wasn't very good.
It wasn't a very good situation.
No.
Because I had the shotgun, he had the fishing tackle, but you took a different route.
Yeah, I could see the timber line.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in the bush all my life, so I knew once I got to that timber line, I'd be okay.
Right.
But there's no way I was going down either.
No.
Because I was just so steep.
Yeah. And the dog didn't even want to go up where either one of us had gone. The dog stayed down at the creek and just lied there watching us. But Shiva was such a good dog that basically I knew she'd just be sitting there or sitting at the truck when we got back, so I wasn't too worried about her.
No.
She wouldn't follow either one of us.
A lot smarter than we were.
So, a little bit of a terrifying situation. Okay, so here is the road that we went up. You get near this cedar grove up in here, and then you hike this creek, and you can see the lake right there. And you can see by the terrain how steep it is on both sides. And we went up this draw somewhere where I got stuck on the cliff, would have been down in here above the creek. I'm on this cliff and I gotta go up or down. I can't spend all night on this cliff. And I sat there for an hour and a half and I decided, well, I don't want to try to go down. The reason was the creek was open on this chute that I got stuck on. And if I would have slid down, I would have gone into the open water. But for about 200 yards down from that open spot, it was ice. So if I would have gone in there, I would have been under the ice in the creek. So I decided, well, I got to scramble up the bank. And eventually I got to a spot where the rocks weren't pulling out, and I finally made my way to the tree line. And I don't know how long it took you to get to the tree line.
Oh, quite a while. But I could see, the only thing kept me going, because there's no way, I wasn't going down either.
No.
And
neither one of us wanted to go down.
Once I hit that timber line, I could follow the timber down to wherever.
Right, exactly. So neither one of us even had a clue where the other person was at this point. So
That's one thing you should never do.
No, you should always stay together, for sure. So he made it up so far, and you eventually followed the timber back down to the creek.
Yeah. But I went to where we started out and got a marker going so you could tell where I was. And they made an arrow back to the truck so you'd know when you did come down that I was going back to the truck.
And there was enough snow that you just drew your arrow in the trees.
Yeah, and some wood.
Oh yeah, with logs.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
made
logs.
an arrow heading to the truck.
Yeah, he made an arrow out of logs, which is a good idea, you know. But now I'm at the top of the timber line and I can see Jamie down there building the arrow and I'm yelling at him, but he can't hear me. So, and the dog is with him at this point. I finally took a shot with the shotgun, and then he knew approximately, or that I was way up high, and I think you just carried back onto the truck?
I waited for you. Your dog wasn't going to go anywhere without you.
No, the dog knew I was up there, but I could see Jamie and the dog down at the bottom, so okay, well, I guess this is a write-off. We're going to have to look for this lake another time. So yeah, I came down the timber line, and we met up, and made our way back to the truck. But, you know, it was really scary being stuck on that cliff, not wanting to go up or down. And, boy, it was steep in there, eh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was steep.
Shouldn't have been there. With at least you had some rope.
I was just shaking because I didn't know what I wanted to do as far as go up or down. I mean, we got ourselves in this situation, basically, you know, we should have had mountain climbing gear, and here we are trying to do it on foot. Everything got slippery, and everything that you're grabbing onto is pulling out of the mountains. But at least where you went, you had stuff to hold on to.
Yeah, that's true.
That was solid, like trees and things.
Yeah,
right?
well, gee, that's a big help.
Yeah. So, anyway, so kind of at the end of the story, how many more times did we attempt to get into that lake?
Oh, 3?
Yeah, about 3 more times we attempted to get to the same
I
lake.
think.
But see, the story wasn't quite over yet as far as this adventure went, because we got back to the truck and I'm turning the key on the truck and nothing's happening. I'm thinking, we got a dead battery. Did I leave the lights on? So I put the lights on. No, there's plenty of power. And you know, Finn, boy, what? See, as soon as somebody comes around, he won't leave them alone with a stick. I mean, if it's just me, it's not usually an issue, but he's pestering Jamie. So, well, what is wrong with this truck now, we're thinking? Well, I'm looking around and I look underneath it and the starter is just hanging on the wires. The bolts had fallen out and the starter's just dangling there. So I thought, well, what are we going to do? So I put the starter back in place and I got a long, solid piece of stick and I pried it against the exhaust to hold the starter in place. And then Jamie turned the key over and it fired up and we got out of there. So, interesting little sequence of events that was not going right for us on this particular trip. And then basically we got back out, just let the starter hang, got back to town. And then...
My wife said we were still shaking.
Yeah, that was such an experience. We were still shaking from being scared. But the next time we decided we're going to go look for this lake again, and it had been raining and it was runoff time, we get to the bridge on the one creek and the bridge had washed out.
No bridge.
No bridge.
It's an open. We're not supposed to go to that lake.
Not supposed to go to this lake. No Telly Lake. Don't tell anyone where it is because you don't want to run into these problems we had. But yeah, the bridge was gone. And actually, they never even fixed the bridge for a couple of years.
No.
So it was a couple of years before a person could go in and attempt to look for this lake again. But I think this summer, I think I'm going to try. They fixed the bridge. Because this was several years ago, Jamie, eh?
Yeah, it was.
How long ago, you think?
Long enough to know that I'm not going there again.
Yeah, so quite the experience. I think I'm going to go and try to find this lake again. And hopefully the starter won't fall out. Hopefully I don't get stuck on a cliff or a ledge. And I remember seeing that story about a couple of ladies that were hiking somewhere. And they got stuck on a ledge for like a week. I think it was a week. I'm just trying to remember the story. And they spent nights and nights on this ledge with no food. I mean, it started raining. They had like a tent shelter and some bedding.
Yeah, I'll go with you.
But
again,
they-
but we'll
you
be
will?
better.
More prepared?
More prepared.
Okay, so there you have it. Jamie will agree to go back and try again.
Sure.
You know, maybe we'll have to get a helicopter.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for watching the Fireside Chat. And maybe we'll have another adventure looking for the same lake in the future. I know I'd really like to find it because a lot of times when I find these lakes, the fishing is really good usually because nobody goes there. Right on. We'll see you on the next one. I'm not going to eat that. I'm going to take off here. Wonder how long it's going to take Finn to eat that. But he's pretty good at this too, watch. Okay, go, go. Sit, sit, sit. Shake a paw, shake a paw. Okay. And it's quite the noise you make, Finn, when you eat. Oh well, horses, they do the same thing. Ah, I've seen people make noise like that too. Okay, you should be good for the night.